All right, let's open up with a prayer. All brothers remove their head coverings. All sisters pray with their heads covered, and we face the east towards Jerusalem. All right, Brother West, can you open us up with prayer, please?
Our Father, covenant Elohim, Abraham, Yishak, and Yaakov, sovereign Elohim. We pray for the name of Yeshua, Mashiach. And we thank you, Father, for allowing us another day to divide your word, Father. We ask you, Father, that the Spirit be upon us, Father, as we get into your word, Father, this evening. We pray that your word reaches those who need to hear it, Father. And we pray that understanding and your spirit of understanding and knowledge goes out, Father. We also pray for all those who are in need of strength, Father, as we are deep into this season of the dead, Father. We pray for strength and encouragement for all those who need it, who are struggling to walk on your path, Father, to take that narrow path, Father, trying to walk that narrow path. In Yeshua, Mashiach's holy name, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Keep your mommy waiting.
No, it's the same, right? You just let them know. All right. Shalom. My name is YAH. My brother Wesley Yahshua. Shalom. And we are Savior Word of Yah. And the title of our Bible study today is Humility unto Grace. Humility unto grace. And one thing that we're definitely going to need in this captivity and trying to come out this captivity is we're going to need a lot of grace. And grace is something that is given. That's not something that you just deserve. You just get that. The Most High gives us grace from his mercy. And a common theme that he offers with grace is to stay humble. When you stay humble and you stay merciful to other individuals, then you fall into grace. And in this walk, you have to remain humble, because as soon as you think you have a grasp of something, or as soon as you think that you've perfected something, the tests just get harder and harder. And just like most tests, it's meant to push you further. It's just like once you produce fruit, they purge the fruit so that you can bear more fruit. So we want to stay humble in that. So we're going to examine that, and that's a key thing for us, is to make sure that we stay humble through the things that we deal with. All right, so we're going to first open up in Romans chapter 12, which is a great chapter to really just talk about how to stay humble and what that looks like, given the example of Mashiach and us as followers of the Mashiach, what that looks like. So again, we're going to open up in Romans chapter 12, and we're going to start that at verse 1.
Romans chapter 12 and verse 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Elohim, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto Elohim, which is your reasonable service.
So this is your reasonable service. So anything above your reasonable service is profit. So presenting our bodies as a living sacrifice. So he's not asking us to kill ourselves, but to present our body, everything that makes us, present that to him as a sacrifice, but a living sacrifice. So to be a living sacrifice versus a dead sacrifice, which means you have to sacrifice something in your life. What are you sacrificing? What are you giving up for the Most High? And in doing that, you can't say, oh, I'm going to give up doing the right thing. That's a sacrifice. No, it has to be holy, kodesh, acceptable unto Elohim. So we have to understand, what are the acceptable sacrifices unto Elohim? Go ahead.
Verse 2. And be not conformed to this world, but be you transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of Elohim.
So part of that sacrifice is not being conformed to the world. The world operates a certain fashion, and as you try to sanctify yourself and act renewed in the spirit, the world will come against you, and things will get difficult, and you have to make those tough decisions, especially around now, where you have this holiday season, where you got to make these tough decisions between loved ones and these so-called holidays and the folly days, they call them, and all those things, and you have to start making these decisions, but you can't be conformed to the way that the world does things. You have to be transformed, which means you have to change from the way that you used to do things when you were part of the world, because you were being called to be kodesh, holy, which is to be set apart, separate. Go ahead.
For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as Elohim has dealt to every man the measure of the faith.
Okay, so not to think more highly of himself. So, people will take that and say, well, you got to have some kind of low self-esteem about who you are, and, don't think that you're a good person. Don't think highly of yourself. And in some sense that's correct. You don't want to think too highly of yourself. But what you really want to focus in here is not to think that you're more important than what you really are. You're a servant of the Most High. There's only one that is good. There's only one that is great. That's YAH. And everything else is for his glory and his purpose. So as long as you keep that in perspective, you won't place yourself in a higher level of importance than what you really are. Because at the end of the day, we're just blades of grass. We're just vapor in the wind. We're just passing through time. It's YAH, that anything that he allows us to have of him, of his spirit, is what gives us any kind of worthy value. And as long as we understand that, we won't place ourselves or our personality or our job or our flesh above what we ought to think of ourselves.
For as we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office, so we, being many, are one body in Mashiach, and every one members one of another. Having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us, whether prophecy, let us prophesy according to the proportion of faith, or ministry, let us wait on our ministering, or he that teaches on teaching, or he that exhorts on exhortation, he that gives, let him do it with simplicity, he that rules with diligence, he that shows mercy with cheerfulness.
All right, so understanding that we are all parts of the body. So each part of the body has a specific task that it has. But if you remove that thing from the body, it's dead. There's nothing he can do. It's no importance. If you remove it from the body, there's nothing he can do. So understanding that you are put together in the body, that's how you serve, is because you're in the body. So you can't think of yourself greater or more important because you can't function without the rest of the body. You need to be part of the body. So if we understand that, we won't be taking ourselves and placing ourselves in an unrealistic view of ourselves. Now, when you know that, you say that, all right, well, I know that I'm flawed. I know that I can be destroyed. I know that I'm not going to last forever. But it's the fact, his grace, knowing that we will be destroyed, knowing that we are flawed, that we have sinned, that we have done these things. It's his grace that allows us to be part of this body and actually function and accomplish the deeds of what the head is trying to tell the rest of the body to do. And we are not the head. So that's why he's giving grace unto us. And we have to always remember that grace so that we can stay humble.
Let love be without dissimulation. Abhor that which is evil. Cleave to that which is good. Be kindly affection one to another with brotherly love, in honor preferring one another.
So this is like a spiritual immune system almost, where you're supposed to hate wickedness. Your body's supposed to reject that. Wait a minute, this body it's a living sacrifice, which is a reasonable service to Yah. So your body is supposed to reject wickedness, and it's supposed to cleave on to righteousness because this is what the body feeds on. The spiritual body is feeding on this righteousness and rejects the wickedness.
Not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the master, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, continuing instant in prayer, distributing to the necessity of saints, given to hospitality.
All right, so this is how you can show acts of humility, which will afford you a whole lot of grace. The major secret that I can share with people regarding this walk is not a secret, but Yah reveals his secret unto his humble people, his saints. So the secret is just remain humble. Because you're going to fall. You're going to make mistakes. Even if you try your absolute hardest, there's just things you don't know. The flesh was not made for that. It's just like if you got a bridge and it can only hold 100,000 pounds. And you put 200,000 pounds on it, it's going to break. But here's the kicker. You can't choose how much weight going to go on the bridge. It's just a matter of chance. So it's the same thing with us. So we have to stay humble. Remain humble. Listen, hear, don't, consider the fact that you could be wrong. Doesn't mean you have to think that you're wrong all the time. Stand firm on what you believe and understand, but be wise enough to know that I could be wrong, or I could be not in the spirit, or I could be doing something that's offensive. And when you do fall, you'll fall into grace. And whatever chastening you get is just going to help you.
I think that's good advice, because pride is one of the major issues that causes contention between people. Mm-hmm. It's like when two people are arguing or they're in some type of dispute, there's usually one or probably both parties that are hanging on to some type of element of pride, and they're just supposed to humble themselves and realize, okay, I might be wrong, or this person might be wrong, but carrying on in this way isn't productive. You know what I'm saying? Right. And sometimes it takes humbling yourself for the other person to humble themselves too. Absolutely. And that's why, again, you hear terms like, and when he came to himself, when he came to himself, this happened, or whatever happened. So, yeah, you can be under a spirit. Pride
is a nasty spirit. You could be under that spirit of falsehood. And once you catch yourself, that's coming to yourself. You're returning back to yourself. Don't stay in the pride. Don't stay in the wrath. Don't stay in the lust or whatever is causing the problem. Back up, realize, okay, I'm doing something wrong. That's when you stay humble. Okay, yeah, I messed up. You try to repent, restore to whatever situation you're in, and just remain humble. Listen, y'all, there's no good thing in me, in my flesh. The only thing good in me is you. And obviously you're still dealing with me because you allowed me to have the spirit of understanding to realize I'm doing the wrong thing. So let me repent. Let me apologize, y'all. Let me just stay humble. Don't try to justify it. Don't say, well, because this person did this, that. No, listen, I'm in error. Let me get this off of me. I'm sorry, y'all. Please forgive me. And you stay humble and he'll have grace. He's incredibly merciful. Go ahead, brother.
Romans chapter 12 and verse 12. Rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, continuing instant in prayer, distributing to the necessity of saints, given to hospitality. Bless them which persecute you, bless and curse not. Rejoice with them that do rejoice, and weep with them that weep. Be of the same mind one toward another. Mind not high things, but condescend to men of low estate. Be not wise in your own conceit.
So he's giving us good advice on how to stay humble. Sometimes we just don't know to be humble because we're taught, fake it till you make it. We're taught, have high self-esteem when we shouldn't have high self-esteem. Because at the end of the day, we esteem the Most High. What are we being esteemed for? We shouldn't have high self-esteem. We should have good self-esteem and understand, hey, I know that the spirit that's in me is good, is great. And Yah is merciful. He has given grace unto me to the point that he's apportioned me a certain amount of spirit. So I'm going to remain humble, not take credit for anything, be willing to listen to see if I'm making errors because I know that there's flaws in the design. It was designed to be temporary. It's just like a candle. Once you light that candle, it's flawed. It starts to come apart. It was designed for that, to give you light for a certain amount of time and then go out. So it's the same thing with us. We're designed to give a certain amount of light and then we go out. So you got to stay humble in that process.
Romans chapter 12 and verse 17. Recompense to no man evil for evil. Provide things honest in the sight of all men. If it be possible, as much as lies in you, live peaceably with all men.
If it be possible. Sometimes, again, you always understand the analogy of the body. It's often talking about the body. The body is going to do everything it can for it to work together. But sometimes it has to work against itself. If there's an infection, if there's an injury, the body has to work against it to stop something from furthering damage, or to the point where it'll just kill off a whole piece. Well, you got to cut off a whole piece of a limb. So that's extremes. If it be possible, your body is going to try to be on one accord and be healthy and be productive. So it's the same thing with us spiritually when we're dealing with people. It's got to be an extreme for us to get to that point. But there's processes, just like your body don't just all of a sudden, you just die. There's a process. You get sick, you get a fever, you get a cough or something, or you get warning signs that tell you, hey, we got to fix this, we got to work on this.
Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says Yahweh.
All right, so many of us know this, but how many of us are able to actually hold on to that and keep that true? Yah said, vengeance belongs to me. But we feel that we have to always fight back our battles. Somebody's coming against me, I got to jab. You punch me, I got to punch back. Even when we train, and you've trained with us, Wesley, when we train and there's certain combos being thrown, you can't attack back right away. If somebody's throwing you a three-piece, you might have to, slip a few, cover, and then you can attack back. But we want to constantly, as soon as react, react. And to the point where we get manipulated in those type of things. And so the advice is to sit back and allow Yah to deal with things. Sometimes you just got to sit back when people are talking and acting a certain way, and you find yourself being pulled into that. You got to pull back and say, you know what? I draw the line here. I'm not going to go any further because I'm seeing that it's not a positive reaction. It's just negativity. So let me survive this bout and just pull back for a minute.
Therefore, if your enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For in so doing you shall heap coals of fire on his head. Be not overcome with evil, but overcome evil with good.
And that's a powerful statement. When somebody is being evil unto you and you resort to being evil to them, you are overcome by evil. But no, you're supposed to overcome evil with good. When somebody is just doing you wrong, then you could just, you could do something evil to them. You just find a way to do something positive. If there's, hey, listen, you hungry, thirsty, look, take this with you on your journey and da-da-da. Do what you got to do. But don't repay wickedness with wickedness. Because that's not an example of the Most High. That's not how we're to be witnesses of His word. And that's difficult when you're in the flesh. And all this is advice, good advice, but none of these disciples were able to do that perfectly. All of them made their mistakes and slipped in it. So just because we go over these things and we talk about this perfection does not mean that any man is walking in that perfection right now. What this means is this is the goal. This is what we're trying to do. And if we can win majority of the battles, enough battles to endure and continue going, then we're there. The rest is grace. We fall into grace because we're staying in our humility. Let's move on. Let's go to Psalms chapter 9. Because when we, get puffed up, we find ourselves in a hole, in a ditch. We find ourselves in a fall, in a problem. And when that happens, we cry out to Yah. Yah, please, help me, Yah. Well, what happens when you are doing transgression to the point where Yah's turning his ear from you? How do you regain that? What's some good advice that you would give, Wesley, when you find yourself out? You find yourself, okay, I'm going the wrong direction, and you're trying to pray to Yah, and you feel like He's not hearing you. What's some good advice?
I think fasting is a good thing you can start off doing, and kind of force yourself to kind of be in that lowly, broken state. You know what I'm saying? And pray that the Father hears you, because He hears the brokenhearted, and it's a way to humble yourself before the Father.
Right. Absolutely. That's great advice. Fasting. Because if you're willing to punish your flesh and not allow your flesh to make the decisions, that's like saying, hey, I'm inviting the Spirit. Because the flesh is not running things. I don't care. I'm purposely doing this because I'm trying to get the Spirit attention. I'm trying to get my spirit's attention. I'm trying to get Yah attention. So I'm going to fast. So that's a great bit of advice. Tehillim, Psalms chapter 9, and we're going to start this at verse 1.
I will praise you, O Yahweh, with my whole heart. I will show forth all your marvelous works. I will be glad and rejoice in you. I will sing praise to your name, O Most High. When my enemies are turned back, they shall fall and perish at your presence. For you have maintained my right and my cause. You sit in the throne judging right. You have rebuked the heathen. You have destroyed the wicked. You have put out their name forever and ever. O you enemy, destructions are come to a perpetual end. And you have destroyed cities, their memorials perish with them. But Yahweh shall endure forever. He has prepared his throne for judgment. He shall judge the world in righteousness. He shall minister judgment to the people in uprightness. Yahweh also will be a refuge for the oppressed, a refuge in times of trouble. They that know your name will put their trust in you, for you, Yahweh, have not forsaken them that seek you.
So what there's not too many more situations to allow for somebody to be humble other than a refuge for somebody being oppressed and a refuge in times of trouble. When somebody's being oppressed, it says oppression drives a man mad. So when you're in a very oppressed state, you tend to be humble. That's why people shut down. They don't talk. They're quiet. They get depressed. That's a humble state. Your ears are open unto the Most High. And then a refuge in times of trouble, when you're running, when you're fearing your life, or you're fearing the outcome of a situation that you know, I found myself in this, there's nothing I can do right now. The outcome is all on you. You don't get any more humble than that. Our ears are open. YAH is listening to us that wait for him when we say, listen, I can go out here and do a bunch of stuff just to do it. Just so I can feel like I got my hand in and I'm doing something. Or I can know, all right, let me pray and meditate. Let me fast for a little bit and see what you're going to show me, YAH. And what does it say about people that do that? It says, YAH has not forsaken them that seek him, that go to him. That's humility. Because if you're not humble enough to go to the Father, you can say, I got it. I can do it my own. I've handled this stuff before. I can do it myself.
Psalms chapter 9 and verse 11. Sing praises to Yahweh, which dwells in Zion. Declare among the people his doings. When he makes inquisition for blood, he remembers them. He forgets not the cry of the humble.
He forgets not the cry of the humble. And unfortunately, it's very difficult, when you're in a substandard level of living to stay humble. A lot of times it's a state that we have to be built into. We have to be humbled. A lot of us were humbled in our childhood, and then we become adults, and then we get haughty. And then some of us were humbled as childs. And then when we grow up, we're haughty as a child, and then when we grow up, we get humbled. But either way, there's a humbling process. And when you come into this word, prepare for that humbling process, because it's not, a one event thing. It's a lifetime thing of humbling. Just like the Mashiach, if the head was humble, the body not going to be exalted? It's nothing going to be exalted above the Father. Nothing is above the head. There's nothing in your body that's above your head. You can raise your hand above your head. What happens when you have your hands above your head too long?
You get tired and worn out.
You get tired and worn out. Your blood gonna leave. You're gonna have all kind of problems. Your arm gonna hurt. To the point, even if they hang you like that, like how they say that the Mashiach was hung from a tree, you can't breathe from getting your hands up. So the head is on top. So if you stay in your state, you won't have to deal with all these things. So the spirit has to allow for us to constantly be humble. So when we are humble, the Most High hears us. He hears our cries. Just like a child, because now you're in a child. Oh, you want to act big and grown and bad like you got it? Okay, I'm not hearing you. But when you're crying out to him in humility, he's hearing you. And unfortunately, that doesn't come about when you just, everything is going good and I'm just going to cry out to the Most High and he's going to hear me.
Psalms chapter 9 and verse 13. Have mercy upon me, O Yahweh. Consider my trouble, which I suffer of them that hate me. You have lifted me up from the gates of death, that I may show forth all your praise in the gates of the daughter of Zion. I will rejoice in your salvation. The heathen are sunk down in the pit that they made, in the net which they hid, and is their own foot taken. Yahweh is known by the judgment which he executes. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. Higgaion, the wicked shall be turned into the grave, and all the nations that forget Elohim. For the needy shall not always be forgotten. The expectation of the poor shall not perish forever. Arise, O Yahweh, let man prevail. Let not man prevail. Let the heathen be judged in your sight. Put them in fear, O Yahweh, that the nations may know themselves to be but men.
The humbling process. And they're supposed to know that through us first. Because before they can come against Yah, they got to come against the children of Yasharal. And when we are operating as a body, as a nation, and staying humble and saying, Yah gonna fight our battle for us, then they will know Yah, just like they knew Yah from Pharaoh, because Yah delivered us. They didn't think that we did it. They feared Yah to the point where even Rahab and Jericho heard of the fame of what happened to Egypt. Let's go to Matthew chapter 23. Matthew chapter 23, and we're going to read 1 through 12. And Shalom says Yahanaya Yasharala. Shalom says Toda Yahal. Good to see y'all. And Shalom, brother Yafi Yehuda. Good to see you, family.
Matthew chapter 23 and verse 1. Then spake Yahshua to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moshe's seat. All therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do, but do not you after their works, for they say and do not.
And it takes a lot of humility to do that, because you feel like somebody telling you what to do that don't do what they're telling you to do. Mm-hmm. And that tends to be a big stumbling block for us, because that's evil. It's evil to say, hey, keep the, honor the Shabbat, and then, turn around and go to work right after that. Hey, honor the Shabbat, brother, but you drop me off at work because I gotta go. No, that's wickedness. You're supposed to overcome evil with good. All right, well, you know what? You're right. You go to work. I'm not going to work. I'm staying home because I'm going to honor the Shabbat. Mm-hmm. The scribes and Pharisees sit in Moshe's seat, which means that they are the lawgivers. They give the law. They tell people the law. That's their job. Whatever they're telling you to do, do it. What they tell you to observe, do it. It's according to the law. That's what their job. The scribes write it down, and the Pharisees were the priests, the Sanhedrin. Now, they're not doing it, though. They're just saying it and not doing it. Don't let that be your stumbling block, because I don't care what teacher you have, or what elder or priest or pastor or mentor or whatever. Nobody is perfect. You're not worshiping man. You're worshiping Yah through his word, the Savior word of Yah, the Mashiach, the scriptures, the holy scriptures. So it doesn't matter. Again, his sheep hear his voice. Take the message. Yah's going to deal with the people that don't do what they say that they're going to do. Yah deals with them individuals. And if he's going to deal with them like sons, he's going to chasten them. And if they endure through the chastening, then they are like sons. And they will get a reward. They will learn. They will be humble. That's the process of humility. But there's grace in that, because you could just be killed.
Verse 4. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. But all their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries and enlarge the borders of their garments.
So they're doing all these things for a show because they want to think of themselves higher than what they are. They want to say, I'm like the head. The head really, doesn't really do unless you headbutt somebody or something. It moves, looks, whatever. But the arms, the legs, the back is doing majority of the work. The legs got to carry. So the head is raised up. It's above. It's the top. It's not the tail. So these men who are the lawgivers, they're acting like they the head, like they don't have to do that. But this was under the Aaronic priesthood. But the Melchizedek priesthood is different. He says the greatest among you will be a servant of them all. Yahshua served everybody to the point where he gave his life for everybody.
Verse 6. And love the uppermost rooms at feasts, and the chief seats in the synagogue, and greetings in the markets, and to be called of men, Rabbi, Rabbi. But be not you called Rabbi, for one is your master, even Mashiach, and all you are brethren. And call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father which is in heaven. Neither be you called masters, for one is your master, even Mashiach. But he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. And whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased, and he that shall humble himself shall be exalted.
If you got a part of your body that is above where it's supposed to be, they're going to do some kind of surgery. They're going to put things back. Just like if you dislocate your arm and your ball is out of the socket, where it's not where it's supposed to be. You got to put it back or you're going to have a bunch of pain. So in the body, in the grand scheme of the body, we all have a job to do. You need to seek to find what your job is, where you fit into the body, because we all here as servants of the Mashiach. That's what our nation was selected to do. So as that, find what you're supposed to be doing. But if you try to make yourself more important than what you are, you're going to be abased. Before you can even make yourself more important than you are, you got to think more of yourself than what you are. You are just a man or a woman. It's the spirit that's in you that does anything good. That's why it says all things can be done through the Mashiach, through this word. That light that was in the beginning that gives the light of man life. That's all the credit. Every character in this book that you saw that tried to take glory from Yah, what happened to him?
They got dealt with.
It's horribly. Usually death. You don't want to mess with Yah's glory. So to get to the point where you trying to make yourself a god or an idol, you got to go through little steps of trying to make yourself more important or raising yourself above your brother or sister. There shouldn't be a rating value between your brother and sister. It should just be a job, a responsibility. That's it. You don't think that you're better than somebody? Because at the end of the day, what if you go back 10 years ago to where you were? We were in a whole different place 10 years ago. But do you want somebody to value you and place you, that this is what your value in life is based upon where you were 10 years ago? But we don't think about that. We just look at somebody and see where they at right now, and then we try to put a value on them. And putting a value on them is basically trying to raise yourself above somebody, because of course you're not going to say, oh, you know, this guy who you see doing mistakes, oh, I value him higher than me. No, it's easier to devalue somebody so that you can raise your own value. Shalom, brother Linnell Manning. Good to see you, family. All right, let's move on. Let's go to Proverbs. What is it? Proverbs 13? I believe it's Proverbs 13. Mishlei chapter 13. Actually, I meant Psalms 138.
Okay.
Psalms, Tehillim 138. Psalms 138. Not Proverbs, Psalms.
Psalms, Tehillim 138 and verse 1. I will praise you with my whole heart. Before the mighty ones will I sing praise unto you. I will worship toward your holy temple and praise your name for your loving kindness and for your truth. For you have magnified your word above all your name.
All right. I will worship toward your holy temple. We pray towards Jerusalem because this is where his eyes are. This is where his temple is. This is where the incense was burning, carrying the prayer of the saints. I will praise your name for your loving kindness. I will praise you with my whole heart. When you are giving the glory where it belongs, it humbles you. There's no, it's like, again, that's the difference between high self-esteem. You think you are that and good self-esteem. Good self-esteem is esteeming the right person. I esteem Yah. I'm going to praise you. I'm going to give you all the glory. I'm going to worship towards your holy temple. Why towards your holy temple? Because that's where your eyes are. So that's what's important. What you looking at. Not what I think is good. You had Abram and Lot.
Mm-hmm.
One chose with his eyes, the other one chose with his heart. Abram said, whichever one you pick.
Mm-hmm.
Lot saw this great place, had great fruit, everything looked nice.
Mm-hmm.
Turned out to be a bad place.
Right.
So, turned out to be the ancient America, basically. Go ahead.
Psalms chapter 138 and verse 3. In the day when I cried, you answered me and strengthened me with strength in my soul. All the kings of the earth shall praise you, O Yahweh, when they hear the words of your mouth.
When they hear the words of your mouth, they supposed to hear that from his priests, his nation. And we missed something real key right there in verse 2 as well. So he's saying that he's going to hear when the kings hear the words of Yah's mouth, right? Well, here it says in verse 2, it says, for you have magnified your word above all your name. That's deep right there. He magnified his word. He spoke the word, the Savior word of Yah, the Mashiach. He esteemed that more than his name. But we take the name, we make the name so important. We fight over names, this, that, and the other. At the end of the day, he's saying, listen, I'm not magnifying my name. I'm magnifying my word. And this is why Yeshua said, no, I didn't come here to destroy the word. I came to what? Fulfill.
Right.
Which is to make more complete. He said, I magnify the word. So you can have a better look at it, a better understanding of the character, the Shem of Yah, the name of Yah, the Shem. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 4.
Mm-hmm.
All the kings of the earth shall praise you, O Yahweh, when they hear the words of your mouth. Yea, they shall sing in the ways of Yahweh, for great is the glory of Yahweh. Though Yahweh be high, yet has he respect unto the lowly, but the proud he knows afar off.
So, though Yah is high, the most high, yet he still respects the lowest of his creations, the lowest of his creatures, especially the lowly of his people, the people that are staying humble, the meek, to the point where we said, all y'all meek and humble people, you are going to inherit the earth.
Psalms chapter 138 and verse 7.
And sometimes, for us to be lowly is to allow somebody to dump on you, to think negative of you or talk about you or paint a bad picture of you. At the end of the day, a lot of, just like with David, when David was being cursed out by King Saul's family after Saul and Jonathan had died. And he said, you know what? One of his warriors is like, I should just go over there and take his head off. And he said, nah. You know what? Maybe Yah sent him to say that to me because I've done some things. I'm honest with myself. I'm not thinking of myself higher than what I am. But the same person that sent him to do that is going to deal with, want to come at you and just got a problem with you. Just got to let him be. You know what I'm saying? You just got to let him be. Just make sure your actions aren't matching up. Even if you did it in the past. Don't make sure your current and your future actions are matching up and agreeing about the things that they're trying to accuse you or say that you are. That's being humble. And guess what? In that humility, you're going to find grace. You're likely to find grace for where you were off. Because we're all off. So if you got a bunch of people that are off, you got a whole nation that's off, who are you going to give your grace to? The people that's off and they wrong and strong, walking high and mighty, or the people that are off, but they crying out to Yah for guidance and help, and they're staying humble.
some reason that makes me think of the story when Yeshua went to the village, one of those, I forgot which village, and the dude that was in the graves, and
Gathering, right?
right,
It's a gathering.
and he it's like even though this dude was sick, he recognized the Mashiach and he knew where to go for his healing. You know what I'm saying? But the whole town was like clearly they were under a certain spirit too, but that they didn't even recognize the Mashiach. They just
Right.
drove him on. But
Mhm.
it's kind of the same thing with what you were saying. Even in this state of being off, he knew where to go and who to seek. You
And
know?
he cried. He cried out. He cried. And he was humbled. And y'all heard him. Y'all heard him because he was humbled and he cried. Nobody wanted to deal with him. He was oppressed. He was a refuge in distress. And y'all hears that. Even though he's way high up here, he's hearing the guy that's in a graveyard busting through chains, naked. He hearing that guy. If he cries out to Yah, he recognized the word and he went to him.
Psalms chapter 138 and verse 7. Though I walk in the midst of trouble, you will revive me. You shall stretch forth your hand against the wrath of my enemies, and your right hand shall save me. Yahweh will perfect that which concerns me. Your mercy, O Yahweh, endures forever.
And what's his right hand?
Mashiach.
Exactly. The word, the Savior word of Yah is his right hand. That word is constantly going to save you because it takes humility to listen to something that's invisible. To listen to the God of slaves. It takes humility. Rather than to listen to God of this world, which tells you you can do what you want to do what thou will. That takes humility. And even in that, you think you listening, because at times we think we listening to him, but we listening to the adversary, the devil. But if we humble in those acts, saying, listen, I'm trying to do the best that I can, and I acknowledge when I'm wrong, you're going to fall into grace. That's why Yeshua died for us, so that we can receive grace during this period to practice being perfect. And who is he going to make perfect?
Yahweh will perfect that which concerns me. Your mercy, O Yahweh, endures forever. Forsake not the works of your own hands.
Your mercy endures forever. So that means if his mercy is enduring forever, then we should be constantly enduring. Because his mercy, you shouldn't be giving up on yourself. Because his mercy endures forever. So as long as you stay humble, yeah, here I am again. I did it again. I made a mistake. I'm trying. I'm going to accept the chastening. I know I was wrong. Show me what I need to do and how I can repair and restore this. And be sincere. Don't say it. If you don't mean it, just say it. Be real with the Most High. Look, I did this thing. I know it's wrong, but I really don't feel bad about it, Yah. But your word tells me I shouldn't do this. So, renew a righteous spirit in me because I've created a reprobate mind or whatever the case may be. Help me in this. That's being humble. King David had to do that. He had to say, look, scrap everything. Just give me a new heart. Renew a spirit. Purge me with hyssop. And sometimes that takes the ultimate humility because we want to hold on to that one little good thing that we did and hold on to that forever. Nah, he going to purge that so you can produce more fruit. But you got to be humble in that process. And patient. Let's go to Yeshayah 57. Isaiah chapter 57. And that's a good point, sis, Yahaniah. He said, call me Isha, or husband, or call me the father, Abba. Rather than, trying to argue over the enunciation of a name and this, that, and the other, it's fruitless. You do the best you can to call you, to pronounce, just like if somebody got a weird name, that's African typically. You can't really pronounce it because you're so Hellenized in Greek. That you try, Olu. Find a way. Do the best that you can. Get as close as you can, but that's not where your focus is.
The righteous is taken away from evil to come.
So where we see a lot of people dying, good people that did good things, at least for what we could see, consider that are some of these people being taken away from the evil that is about to approach us to the point where I'm calling you back home. You know, and sometimes that's how we feel about some of our family members. You know, they did so much good, but for the little bit of time.
He shall, but draw near, whom do you sport yourselves? Against whom
What are we talking about here? The seed of adulterer and the whore. Who's he talking about here? Out and doing all that type of stuff. Continue reading. Let's see what we talking about here.
Against whom do you sport yourselves? Against whom make you a wide mouth and draw out the tongue? Are you not children of transgression, a seed of falsehood, inflaming yourselves with idols under every green tree?
Go ahead.
Slaying the children in the valleys under the cliffs of the rocks. Among the smooth stones of the stream is your portion. They are your lot. Even to them that you have poured a drink offering, you have offered a meat offering. Even there went you up to offer sacrifice. Behold, the doors also and the posts have you set up your remembrance. For you have discovered yourself to another than me, and are gone up. You have enlarged your bed, and made you a covenant with them. You love their...
You talking about Israel? You talking about us? That's not humble. There's no fear. We have no fear of the Most High. We going all these high places doing the same thing that we doing right now. All these rituals because it was cool. It was groovy. It wasn't like we made that up. This is the things that the heathens were doing around about us. So if we doing this in our own land, what you think we gonna do when we go to someone else's land and they in control? But if we can go to their lands and they forcing that stuff on us, and we like, nah, we ain't doing it. What you think we gonna come in our land and start putting up a Christmas tree in Israel?
Right.
We're not gonna do that. So the Most High testing us, see, okay, what you really gonna do? Let's see what you really about. Let's see when righteousness is not cool, when that's not the majority. Are you going to be righteous? Are you going to try to fight to be holy and set apart in Kodesh? Because what's coming next, the next age that we're coming to, righteousness is going to be the standard. Again, your reasonable service to offer yourself as a sacrifice, a living sacrifice. Then it's going to be easy to be righteous because everybody around you is doing the right thing. So it's going to be easier.
Verse 9. And you went to the king with ointment, and did increase your perfumes, and did send your messengers far off, and did debase yourself even unto the grave. You are wearied in the greatness of your way, yet said you not, there is no hope. You have the life of your hand, therefore you are not grieved. And of whom that you have been afraid or feared, that you have lied and have not remembered me, nor laid it to your heart. Have not I held my peace even of old, and you feared me not? I will declare my righteousness in your works, for they shall not profit you.
I will declare your righteousness in your works. They will not profit you. You thinking of yourself higher than what you are, let me declare your righteousness. Oh, there is none. You have no righteousness. In your work, let's look at your works. There's nothing here because they're all burnt up. You're suffering loss. If your works are burned up, you suffer loss. But guess what? You're saved by those works because at least you're working. You're humble enough to show up for work. But your works are burned. But if you have no works at all, you are burned. You get destroyed.
When you cry, let your companies deliver you, but the wind shall carry them all away. Vanity shall take them, but he that puts his trust in me shall possess the land and shall inherit my holy mountain.
So when you cry, let your companies, let your corporations that you pay all your money to, that you dedicate all your time to, let them come deliver you. In this sense, it's talking about your company, the people you keep, your friends, the people you choosing to be with over doing the things necessary, or the people you choosing to impress over telling them, hey, what you need to say, what you're supposed to say, and what you're supposed to do.
Isaiah chapter 57 and verse 14. And shall say, cast you up, prepare the way, take up the stumbling block out of the way of my people. For thus says the high and lofty, one that inhabits eternity, whose name is holy. I dwell in the high and holy place, with him also that is of a contrite and humble spirit, to revive the spirit of the humble, and to revive the heart of the contrite ones.
Okay, so thus says the high and lofty one. Notice one is capitalized, so this is a person that inhabiteth eternity, whose character name is Kodesh. I dwell in a high and holy place, heaven. With him also, so also with him is that of a contrite and humble spirit. So this contrite and humble spirit is to revive the spirit of the humble. So that's a spirit you got to receive. And to revive the heart of the contrite ones. So again, this is the grace that's being given out. I'm going to give you a contrite and humble spirit. This is why David was praying for this. But he had to start by fearing Yah, having a little bit of humility and being contrite, somewhat contrite, and praying. And that goes back to what I just said. When you do something wrong and, I know it's wrong, but I really don't feel too bad. I don't want to be fake. My relationship with the Most High is beyond superficial now. I'm not going to be fake with you. Yah, if something ain't right, if I know I ain't right and it's just not working, I'm going to be real with you. Hey, Yah, I'm doing this. And I know it's bad, and I don't want to do it, but I'm doing it. And I really don't feel sorry for it. I know that this is not right. Something is wrong with me. And I'm humble enough to tell you that. This is when he said, okay, well, here you go. Here's a contrite and humble spirit. Whap! It might not come the way you want it. You might want to just, like a genie in a bottle and come down on you descended like a dove of humble and contrite. Like Yahshua. Now, that's how we want it. But he said, you know what? I'm going to send you this person who's going to do to you what you did to these people. Or I'm going to send you this situation. Or I'm going to touch your health. Or I'm going to change your views. I'm going to do something. Take your job from you. Make you lose your money. That's a good way to humble you. Or he can really humble you, take your spirit away from you. Now you in darkness, broken. You don't know what to do. Oh, help! Now you got a humble and contrite spirit. But he's not giving that to the proud. 16.
For I will not contend forever, neither will I be always wroth. For the spirit should fail before me, and the souls which I have made.
So if he contended forever, nobody would make it. We all fall. Go ahead.
For the iniquity of his covetousness was I wroth, and smote him. I hid me and was wroth, and he went on frowardly. So in the way of his heart.
For the iniquity of his covetousness, because he wants something that don't belong to him. He wants to be a king. You want to rule the house, but you a son, but you want to rule the house. You want to rule the assembly, but you brand new. You just learned you was Israel a week ago. We coveting something that hasn't been given to us yet. We coveting to this brother's gift because he has visions, he has dreams. He speaks Hebrew, he speaks 10 languages, he does this, all these things. Instead of saying, you know what, I would like to find my gift. And I would like to have something of the Holy Spirit like he has or like she has. Or I would like to have a responsibility like they have. So let me be responsible over what I'm responsible over. But we covet. And you know we have a coveting spirit because we constantly want something that don't belong to us. We want it more when it belongs to somebody else.
Isaiah chapter 57 and verse 18. I've seen his ways and will heal him. I will lead him also and restore comforts unto him and to his mourners. I create the fruit of the lips. Peace, peace to him that is afar off, and to him that is near, says Yah, and I will heal him. But the wicked are like the troubled sea, when they cannot rest, whose waters cast up mire and dirt. There is no peace, says my Elohim, to the wicked.
And this is what you have to witness when you are dealing with people that can't have peace. No matter what anybody does or what, it's always some situation. You know, someone. You know, you can see him on Facebook all the time. Every time you see him post something, somebody did something to him. They constantly do. First of all, what happened to just praying and keeping it to yourself, examining your own reaction? Why every post got to be somebody doing something to you constantly? Where's your peace? Where's the overcoming? Where's the confession of what you've done to somebody? Where's that post? But nah, you got these people that can't have peace because there's no peace in them. Because when Yahshua said, I don't give you the peace that the world gives, that's temporary. I'm giving you the peace that only the word can give you. A peace of mind. No matter what's going on, you're at peace because look, I know I'm saved by grace. I'm not going to be saved by me walking perfectly, because if that's the case, I'm dead. All of us. That doesn't mean I'm not going to try to be Kodesh. It just means that I know that I'm not that. So let me be real with myself and not think of myself higher than what I was.
You know, I had a thought on that earlier, on just the idea of peace. And you see those memes that are like, I cut people off and I do all this stuff, and just because I got to protect my peace. And I'm like, I understand where they're coming from, but one of the issues that I see with that is like, okay, it's like, well, it seems very self-centered, and it also seems like you're kind of running from things. You know what I'm saying? And to me, it seems like it would make more sense, because it's like, we know, especially in this walk, we're going to have challenges, we're going to have trouble. But to me, it would make more sense if you could have peace, even with all that going on. That seems like more peace than having to kind of like run and constantly cut people off and like avoid stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's like, you're not going to be able to avoid stuff. You know what I'm saying?
You can't run from every war.
And
some wars are that important.
Right. And it seems like, to me, it's like, when I look at Yahusha or Yahshua, you look, and he was in the midst of it. He didn't have anywhere to run. He didn't even have a place to lay his head. So it's like, but he was confronting people constantly, but he kept on his mission. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't seem like he was ruffled by, it seemed like that peace that he had was stronger than the kind of peace that you see people talking about, you know what I'm saying, maintaining their peace and all that stuff. It seems like he had a more substantial peace, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Now, there is a limit to what it says, be at peace if possible. It's not possible.
Right.
He gave us the instruction, you proclaim peace when you enter a house. They don't have peace. Shake off the dust of your feet and keep it moving. But that don't mean you cut the people off. That's like cutting off a piece of your body. That goes to the beginning of the class where I said, listen, even the body gives us the metaphors of how this works. Because for you to amputate any part of your body other than circumcision, which was told us to do, even cutting our hair, even that is traumatic. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you don't want to cut off something that you need. Right. So cutting off the body, that has to be severe. And it has to be under the lines of, not that, I just can't, I just not having a good time or whatever. But if it's going to cause you to stumble, if it's going to cause you to lose your salvation, then it's better you walking with one arm than two arms in the lake of fire. But being honest with yourself, are you just trying to be comfortable? You don't want nobody to tell you about your stuff. You want to tell everybody about their stuff, but you don't want to hear nothing about your stuff. And typically that's how those people are, because they're constantly telling other people stuff. Right. Oh, people doing this, people doing that. Oh, people are always this, people are always that. What are you doing?
Right.
So you cutting people off because of what people are always doing instead of saying, well, what am I doing? And how do I seek peace and ensue it? It says seek peace and ensue it. You gotta go after. That means peace ain't just hanging around here. Oh, look, peace. Hey.
Right.
You gotta seek it. You gotta ensue it. You gotta, nah, brother. Hey. I'm gonna overcome evil with good. That's a process. Yahshua did that. It's difficult. But guess what? You not finna, the head is here. The body can, the head gonna still be, the body. No. You're not leaving. So be honest with yourself. Be real with yourself. If you exhausted all your stuff and you tried, and you even tried to examine yourself, you try to change, you try to condescend to the lowly, the person is acting very ignorant. So I'm condescending, and doesn't mean that I'm talking to them like they're stupid, but I'm understanding and I'm trying to see things from their perspective. I'm trying to listen. I know what I'm doing. I'm pretty sure. I'm humble enough to know that I could do it better, but I know I'm following what I'm supposed to be doing. You're not. I can clearly see that. Do I run away from you, or do I try to overcome the evil with righteousness, with good, with patience, with meekness? But no, we feel that because they are acting ignorant, that gives us the right to do it because and that's the ransom for sin.
I feel like that whole spirit of not sharing with people is very prevalent. You know what I'm saying? Like, people aren't willing to really bear with people. You know what I'm saying? And like you say, do go the extra mile. At least try to go far with them to see, like, okay, to do everything that's possible first, to do everything they can first before just throwing in the towel and being like, well, I don't feel peaceful, so I'm just going to give it up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I feel like I haven't seen a lot of that. You know what I'm saying? Even though I know it exists, I know people out there are like that, but I feel like that's the popular mentality now. To not really practice that level of love and forgiveness with each other. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And do we think that the adversary is going to give us peace in captivity? He's going to give you a peaceful environment. This is punishment. He's going to utilize every bit that he can to make sure you don't have peace. That's why you got to have the peace of mind. You got to have the peace that Yahshua leave us. A piece of, listen, all things work for the glory of the Most High. I'm going to continue focusing on where I'm going wrong and doing what I need to do. I'm going to continue being merciful because I can be extra merciful. You're going to get your righteous judgment regardless of what I do. So I don't want to get any of your righteous judgment on me because I'm trying to execute the judgment. So we have to just learn to fall back and see, in this society, the divorce rate is so high amongst families because people don't need each other. Everything is so individual now. You can create your whole world on Facebook. So you don't need anybody. And then, what you see statistically, women are more likely to be the ones filing for divorce. So this is that case because the women don't need the men like that anymore. Right. I can go to the government, get food stamps, get money, $8,000 tax return every year. Man, if you got 8 stacks, some people never made 8 stacks, but they getting 8 stacks back every year just for having children. So the system is designed that way to make you not need your man or your husband or need the black man. That way, as soon as you in that motion, I don't need this. I don't need this. I don't want to deal with this. Right. And that's the attitude, and we out. But when we needed each other, when that man needed that woman and that woman needed that man, the man needed that woman to take care of his family when he was out working, when he was taking care of things. He needed that woman to hold it down when Massa had him tied up and he was injured and he was beaten and she had to go bring him food and pour water in his mouth when he out and tied up on some stocks or something like that. Or when he is being discriminated at work and he gets fired for being good at what he does. And she's working another job and holding the family. We needed each other. But he's got it now. You don't need. You can do whatever you want to do.
But see, to me, I think that's all an illusion, because it's like, we do need each other. You know what I'm saying? But obviously, in the system we're living in, they make it seem that way. But when you look into it a bit more, like you can see with all the black women missing, tons of, like, I don't know the number. I think it's like 64,000. Yeah, it's a scary number of women missing, and people aren't realizing that there's a connect there. When we were together as families, there was protection built in naturally. You know what I'm saying? And now everyone wants to be independent, but they're not looking at the negatives all that is created. And one of those is that our women just aren't protected like they used to be.
Right. They just take them, snatch them, attack them, whatever. Because where the man at? He ain't home. He's not there. You know, why these little girls snatched up? Where the daddy? If you a child trafficker, you're gonna be like, look, here's this guy with these girls. Let me go ahead and try to kidnap his kids. Nah, I'm gonna go right across the street to them girls. They ain't got no daddy. Cause who gonna face me? It says you bind the strong man to pillage the house goods. Right. If there ain't no strong man there, you just go right in. And you can be, and a woman can be as hard and can be as masculine acting as she wants to be. At the end of the day, you're not a match for a masculine man that wants to rape and pillage. You weren't built for that. That's why you were given a covering, an edge of protection. And then, men, if you gonna have a family, protect your family. Be there for them. Humble yourself. Your woman might be acting a fool, but you got kids. You got a wife. You got to cover them. You got to deal with that. If at all possible. Again, if it's gonna cost you to lose your salvation, you got to do what you got to do. Because even the animals, they walking up a mountain and one of the animals, fall and he's hanging off the cliff and he's about to pull the rest of the family down. Well, see ya. Right. Got to make tough decisions. But it's sad. Women have to train now. They got to understand. They got to learn, because this for us to correct this, it ain't going to happen overnight. We're not just going to correct men, even starting with men. Men are not just going to, because this is where it all starts with the men.
Right.
Men are not going to correct themselves overnight. We have to be taught how to be men. We know how to be male. But to taught how to be a man of Yah, we have to learn and be rebuilt into that. And that takes time. Right. In the interim, our women need to learn how to defend themselves. Just to fight off for a little bit longer till another man can come help. Right. The police or a person across, or another sister, see, or something. And the best training is in here. Understanding how to be safe and how to be wise. Even how to carry your purse. Don't put your purse under your arm like this and have it wrapped in your arm, because then they can pull your purse and pull you. Put it on the outside. That way, if they get it, take the purse. You ain't taking me. Little things like that. Train. Watch. Be aware of your surroundings. Let people know where you're at when you go out. Don't be creeping at night. Let your people know what you're doing.
That's another thing is that I've noticed too, is that we will use our relationship with Yah as an excuse not to have relationships with other people. Right. You know what I'm saying? And that's really like one of those things that you can see is like the heart deceiving itself. It's like, I got my relationship with Yah. I don't need this, or I don't need that. I don't need anybody. Right. And I think that's something that we need to look at. And I think, just in general, looking at the state of our people and everything that's going on spiritually, is like, we should really be clinging to one another, cleaving to one another, and we shouldn't be so quick to throw one another away. You know what I'm saying? Because it's destruction out here. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, if especially if we're dealing with people that know what's going on and that know the truth, we should definitely be willing to go the extra mile to do what's right. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying put up with garbage or put up with anybody's BS, but we should really be more merciful towards one another. Absolutely, but
we have the adversary in your ear, in the left side of your ear, just chattering away. Oh, you don't need him. You don't need her. You can have 1,000 of her. You go find another man like him. They're all over. Men that fear Yah, they're all over the place. Nah. So or women that fear Yah, they're a dime a dozen. Nah. Who even even Shlomo said I had a million women. I haven't found one. Can I just find one? That's how difficult it is. But we got this in our ear. But you're absolutely, we need to be cleaving onto each other. Again, what part of your body can you cut off and throw to the side, and that part is okay?
Right.
You could be okay. You know, guess what? You take that heart transplant, you're going to put it one body to another body, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can keep it viable for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it cold for a little bit. It ain't finna last. That's how we are when we're separated from the body. Yeah, we might be okay for a little bit, but you're not finna last. Before you know it, you're right back in the world doing everything. There's no accountability.
Right, and then again, Hasatan, I mean, that's what he looks for, that isolated individual to devour.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we should be seeking to come together and you know, what people experience, and I've experienced it myself. Some of the biggest backstabbing was Israelites. People that was in the word, people that had good understanding, at least I thought. People that, you know, people that taught me, you know, and so what I'm gonna say, oh, I'm not gonna deal with Israelites no more because this, that. What you just gonna not deal with your people then? So then you gonna go deal with another nation? What you think they gonna do to you? So right. At least when your nation of people do stuff to you, you can bring up a charge and say you have violated YAH's law, and they have to address that and say, well, it does say that, you know, I think you're understanding it wrong, or whatever the case may be, but at least there's some standard. Right. And this is why he even said, why are you going to the law about your brother? Why would you not rather just be, you know, getting a loss, right, rather than bringing it to some people that don't care and don't understand your culture? Go amongst your brothers. If we're going to judge angels, how much more can we judge a small thing? And furthermore, you might not get it with that person. That's what we have a council for. You go to a group of people the best you can. That was a good point, brother.
I think King Dawid was also a good example in tearing with one another, just like how he tarried with Saul. This dude was trying to kill him. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's like how many of us are really dealing with that level of adversarialness, I guess, with each other, you know what I'm saying? Like we're so quick to cut each other off over simple things that could literally be overcome with patience and understanding, with a conversation sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Just having a conversation and being honest with each other, you know.
And you seen about how good can overcome evil. I used to be like that. I'll cut you off a heartbeat, man. I ain't like the shirt you was wearing, I'm cutting you off. I mean, it's just, you know, man, that's whack. Whatever. It was a arrogance, you know what I'm saying? Like you thought, I really thought I was special. You know what I mean? I misunderstood the spirit for something like me, like it was me, some kind of like my flesh, you know, was something good. And I would feel like, look, I can see, I don't respect how you carrying yourself. That's some whole stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking about dudes. You acting like a woman, bruh. You getting jealous over another one. I can't respect you. Even to this day, I still fight with that a little bit. That judgmental type view. And I had to be humbled and realize, man, you know how many people dealt with me after I done did some foolishness or embarrassed myself, and they still loving me and still, you know, I had to say, you know what? That's the kind of grace and mercy that I should be having with people. To the point where, you know, y'all had to test me in that, where I got really royally screwed over time and time again. And I just got to the point where my spirit was broken, and I was humbled, and I was just like, look, that's what you're going to do. You're going to do what you're going to do. But I've lived through this long enough to know that if I wait on YAH, he's going to restore me. He's going to take care of me. If I try my best to remain humble and tarry for the individual and not just cut him off. And it'll get to a point where I'm really like, YAH, I can't take this no more. Whenever you just say the word, and then YAH be like, all right, the next week, you don't have to do nothing. They throwing you up out of here. Then you like, praise YAH. Thank you. You heard my prayer. But I wasn't going to do it because obviously you had me doing here for a reason, doing what I needed to do. Right. But I was unhappy. But I said, I'm not going to put myself first. You have me here for a reason. Do my job until you say it's time to go. How many people willing to do that? As soon as they don't feel a certain way, they out. And that whole women valuing man based upon how much I need him. Y'all showing you in Isaiah chapter 3 where we're moving towards. Things are changing. It's now moving towards where 7 women are grabbing a hold of one man saying, look, we don't need anything physical like that. We got it. Mm-hmm. But I don't have a name. I don't have a house. I can't go to Bank of America and go buy a house of Yasharal. I can't do that. I need a covering. So he's showing you how things are going to change. But before we can get to that, the man has to be that covering. And we still learning. We all still learning. So be patient with us, sisters.
You know, one small thing that I say that's related is I think it was Zion Lex that said something like, if we don't recognize the divinity in each other, then we're just going to move through life like a savage. And, that really stuck with me. Mm-hmm. And I think it's something that we need to remember is that we all have a piece of the Spirit, especially us that are, in this walk and trying to do our best in this walk. That's something we need to keep in mind.
Right. And to add on to that, you think that you going to mistreat another servant of Yah and Yah going to just, whatever righteousness that's in them is of the Father, and you're doing it against the Father when you do it to them. Right. People who know who they are, try to serve Yah, and have shown that the Spirit has been with them. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get away with that. That's, once again, thinking of yourself more higher than you ought to think. You can't mistreat a servant of the Most High. How much more a servant of the Most High? You can't mistreat people, period. But how much more the servants of the Most High? All right, so we're at YAH 57. What, did we start this yet? Yeah, okay, we're at verse...
Yeah, we finished.
We finished it? Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's go to Matthew chapter 18. Matthew chapter 18.
At the same time came the disciples unto Yahshua.
And we're going to read, Matthew chapter 18, we're going to read verses 1 through 14.
At the same time came the disciples unto Yahshua, saying, Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And Yahshua called a little child unto him, and set him in the midst of them, and said, Verily I say unto you, except you be converted and become as little children, you shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven.
All right, so the same carnality, I think I'm higher than this person. I'm high. What? Imagine if your body thought like that. Your legs fighting with your arms. I'm higher. You look like a fool. You look crazy. And that's how we look in heaven. Heaven looking down like, what the hell is wrong with these people? This is supposed to be the body. They designed to serve Yah, and they fighting trying to see who's greater than who. To the point Yahshua said, hey, look, hey, come here, little boy. Come here. Look, you see, unless you become like him, you're not going to enter the kingdom of heaven. I didn't see that little boy come up there asking, hey, which one of these kids is the greatest of all the kids? They just living and listening and, learning, soaking things up, doing whatever they told, needing some supervision. Same thing like us.
Mm-hmm. Verse 4, Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven.
All right, so that little child, he called that little child. Come here. He called him. Come here. That child came. That's humble. That's how we need to be. Christ over here like, yo, hey, yo. Knocking on the door trying to get us to come in. I gotta go. I gotta handle this business. Mm-hmm. I gotta tend to my vineyard. My wife coming through. Anything but attending this wedding feast. we got. That little child came. Hey, we gotta be humble as that little child. When that word calls you, and that means when it's time to do righteousness, the word has called you. Because that's what you're called to do, righteousness. So in any situation, if there's righteousness as a selection or option, you have been called. Many are called, few are chosen. Go ahead.
That's interesting because wasn't that the same case with his disciples? Like when he called them, they just kind of put down what they were doing and followed him?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Praise you.
When Yahshua called you, when the word called you, that's now tie that with all those other parables of, well, you know what, I gotta bury my, let the dead bury the dead. Look, Christ is calling you, the word is calling you. That takes precedence over whatever personal thing you want to do in your life. That's death. Let me go say goodbye to my parents. They're not gonna die if you don't say goodbye. Send them a postcard. Hey, yo, I'm over here serving Yah. Miss you. Sorry I didn't get to say goodbye. Christ said, I gotta do this righteousness right now. Mashiach said it's time to go. Sorry. I didn't go bury my dad. What you gonna do? Wake up from the grave? Man, son, I'm disappointed that you didn't come to my funeral. Very disappointed. Your mother was hurt. You broke her heart. He not saying nothing to you. But the word. Well, the deeds you can do could be help to be a covering for your widow. Your mother who becomes a widow.
Matthew chapter 18 and verse 4. Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoso shall receive one such little child in my name receives me.
So being the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. How do you be the greatest? What does that mean, being the greatest?
Well, here's what comes to mind for me, and you can let me know how you feel about this, or if it lines up with the word. But I'm thinking like, okay, well, obviously we won't be the greatest because the greatest is, is the Yah himself. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, the Mashiach after that. But I think when he says greatest here, he's speaking of the people who are basically doing the serving. You know what I'm saying? And great in a different way than the worldly sense. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no well, what's the word? I wouldn't say there's no honor, but there's no it's not always a gloriful thing to be serving other people. You know what I'm saying? It's not a glorified thing. Sometimes it's doing stuff that other people don't want to do or that other people will scoff at. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I agree. And also, like you said, you're not, Yah's the greatest than Yahshua. But Yahshua is the Lamb. We are the bride of the Lamb, right? To marry, they become what?
One.
So you become part of him, you're the greatest. You're part of the body. You in there. And again, that means you're doing the things that you said. You're doing things that you don't necessarily want to do. Just like, a wife does plenty of stuff around the house and for her husband that she don't want to do. All right, we have a sister that left a comment. Shalom, sis Katia, good to see you. She said, I should have tariffed for one individual, and now this person is gone. No way to make amends now. Don't be quick to cut a person. Pray and wait and be quiet until Yah dispenses wisdom. I pray that ability over my character. We must do away with the sin of self-righteousness. It's rooted in pride. You may distance yourself if you've been insulted, but if possible, seek understanding and peace, for we all fall short of the glory of Yah. Hallelujah. Praise Yah. That was a beautiful comment. Absolutely. Distance yourself. This is why they say, separation in a marriage. Distance. I mean, you cut them off and that's it. Distance yourself a little bit. Give a little bit of space. Give time for healing. Separate. Let Yah deal with that person. Let Yah deal with you. But just cutting somebody off because you thinking You gonna cut yourself off? Because what about all, you know your resume. What about all the stuff you do? You gonna cut yourself off? Nah. So that's being a respectful person. You don't want the Father to cut us off. You want him to cut the nation off. And that's the problem too. We keep thinking of ourselves as individuals when we're a body. If something in the body does one thing, if your finger pulls a trigger and you kill somebody, your whole body going to jail. And then they'll say, we gonna lock trigger finger, come here. 30 years in jail, trigger finger, I'll dare you. Matter of fact, we cutting it off. No, you and your trigger finger, your middle FU finger, everybody going to jail. And your head. And the head gonna suffer because of what your finger did. Go ahead, bro.
Matthew chapter 18 and verse 6. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea.
All right, so when people hear offend, hey, Christmas is pagan. Oh, that's offensive. How you gonna tell my child there's no Santa Claus? How you gonna tell us that this is pagan? We've been doing this for years. What do you mean I can't pray over pork? You just offended me. That's not what that means. In the Greek, pull up the Strong's, matter of fact. Let's just get straight to it. They know about picking certain words to make you be a certain way. I don't want to say it. I didn't want to offend the brother. The brother is doing a transgression. Sin causes death. Say something. You ain't got to embarrass the brother, but pull him to the side. Say something. That's like, you walking with your fly open, and that's embarrassing when somebody say, hey, bro, your fly. Oh, man, my bad. Right. That's embarrassing. But you wouldn't want somebody to tell you so you don't continue, or you got some in your teeth. Right. Tell me. Would you want somebody to tell you? You would. So treat people the way you want to be treated.
So the Strong's for offend is G4624 scandalizo, which is SKANDALIZO, and says to entrap, that is to trip up, stumble, entice to sin, apostasy, or displeasure. Right.
That ain't got nothing to do with you telling somebody something that hurts their feelings and they're offended by it. That's not, they didn't have to use that word. Don't entrap somebody. Don't agitate. Don't tempt somebody to do wickedness. Don't provoke somebody into wickedness. Provoke unto righteousness. So that's what that means. This little person, they don't really understand the word. You tripping them up in the word by cherry picking the scriptures like some of these camps like to do, telling you go out and hate white people and, they gonna all be your slaves. And we know what the scripture says. But do you need to give some little person that don't even know how to keep the commandments, teaching them to have somebody kiss your foot? That's going to cause them to stumble. Now they out here, hating white people and blaming them for everything. Well, did you teach the whole 3/4 of the book where it was black people that had us slaves? We don't teach that. No, we want to focus on what we feel comfortable with. Causing these little people to stumble. Or you're going to go to somebody, oh, you just became a Hebrew? Oh, praise God, you just got immersed. You're in the word? Excellent. You can have 10 wives. Go get your 10 wives, bro. Wait a minute, whoa. You passed me the towel. Let me at least dry off. And you trying to shove this steak down the baby mouth. No, he gonna choke on the steak and could die. This is what that's talking about. Now, it's better that they tied a millstone around your neck, because guess what? If that person does fall away from the word, that was going to happen anyways. But you were the vessel used to make that happen. Just like the adversary of the devil. He's the vessel that was used to do the wickedness, so he's going to get punished.
Matthew chapter 18 and verse 7. Woe unto the world because of offenses, for it must needs be that offenses come, but woe to that man by whom the offense comes.
So it must be. These things have to happen. This is what makes you stronger. This is what humbles you, because sometimes you're the offense. And woe to you. Now you live in the, we know woe. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows my sorrows. We know woe. Like Black Rob, woe. We know woe. So that needs to happen. But woe to that man when that offense comes, because you the woe, somebody else is learning a lesson, but you the one causing that. And now you gotta reap what you sow.
Verse 18. Wherefore, if your hand or your foot offend you,
In
cut
other
them
words,
off.
offend. So if your hand or foot, what?
Offend you, entice you to sin,
Exactly. Traps you,
okay.
Entices you, tricks you, pushes you, tempting you to lose your salvation. Cut it off. And until that thing becomes a new creature, it's not operating like that no more, then that you cut off. I can't deal with that. That's the extreme. Think before you cut somebody off. Think like, would I cut off my arm? What would it take? I scratched my arm and I got a big scar on my arm. I don't like it. Am I going to cut my arm off because of that, bro? Probably not.
Right.
I got gangrene and I can't feel nothing in my arm. And it's growing and it's starting to move up my shoulder. Am I going to cut that arm off? Probably.
So it's interesting because, if this was in reference to another person as far as cutting people off, like we were just talking about.
That's what this is reference to.
The solution, how to handle that would be a few verses later, wouldn't it? And now, I'm talking about verse 16, it was talking about taking people before others.
Right. It's a process. You don't just go and you say, my arm hurts. The doctor's like, cut it off.
Okay.
Even the doctor would say, oh, man, that don't look too good. I think we should cut it off, but you should go get a second opinion from a podiatrist on your foot or whatever the case may be. You go see an ophthalmologist. I'm an optometrist. Go see an ophthalmologist. We want to make sure because we got to pull that eye out.
Right.
But if it's look, you're bleeding to death. We got to do this right now or you're going to die. It is what it is. So this is what this is talking about. I'm not talking about your hand, my hand, that's like, some people the dude from Wu-Tang who cut his member off. There's one of those guys, I think it was was it Killer Priest? It might have been Killer Priest. One of them.
Jeez, I didn't know.
One of these guys from Wu-Tang Clan, it didn't make the documentary, but one of these guys literally, supposedly, cut off his member. He did a improper circumcision and said he did that because it kept causing him to sin. That's not causing you to sin. Your mind is causing you to sin. Cut off those thoughts. Cut off the people. Don't hang around the strip club. Don't hang with the pimps. Open a book, read a book.
That is gruesome.
Shalom, Brother Lucas. Cool, good to see you, family.
All right, Matthew chapter 18 and verse 8. Wherefore, if your hand or your foot offend you, cut them off and cast them from you. It is better for you to enter into life halt or maimed, rather than having 2 hands or 2 feet to be cast into everlasting fire.
That's the extreme. That's not the go-to. Go ahead.
And if your eye offend you, pluck it out and cast it from you. It is better for you to enter into life with 1 eye rather than having 2 eyes to be cast into Gehenna fire. Take heed that you despise not one of these little ones, for I say unto you that in heaven their angels do always behold the face of my Father which is in heaven.
So that's the little ones. Us, we the little ones. And the littler ones are the newest ones that come in. Be careful how you deal with them because they come in here hardy and they just found out yesterday they Israel and they trying to challenge you in the word and they done read 3 verses and now they trying to throw something in your face. Don't hate them. Don't hate them. Understand that you were there too. You had that. You can only understand what you understand. You can't understand what you don't understand because that's a spirit. Understanding is a spirit. So you got to tarry for that spirit. So you had to tarry for it. They got to tarry for it. You should be even more compassionate to little ones, new people.
For the Son of Man is come to save that which was lost. How think you, if a man have 100 sheep, and one of them be gone astray, does he not leave the 99 and go into the mountains and seek that which is gone astray?
So that seems like that's the opposite of let me just cut folks off. You know, he ain't going my direction. See ya. Bye. Heading to the wolves, so I ain't going over there. Nah, you a shepherd. If you the sheep, that's different. You a shepherd. Nah, can't operate like that. So we have to seek to bring people back into the body, not cut them off. Now, again, you got different parts of the body. You don't seek to put your thumb where your hand is. It need to go where it need to go. Right. So sometimes we mistake the body not being where it's supposed to be, and we say because you're not here in our group, we like, oh, they're saving people in your name over there, Yahshua, but they're not with us. Yeah, because they're feet, and you are our arms. He's doing what he's supposed to do. If he's not against us, he's with us.
Matthew chapter 18 and verse 13. And if so be that he find it, verily I say unto you, he rejoices more of that sheep than 99 which went not astray.
Because he's rejoicing that this thing is making it whole. Just think about it when you're trying to put that puzzle together. And you're like, oh man, and then you're getting down to the last bit, and there's like one piece missing, and it just fell or something. You're like, oh my goodness. You can't complete it. It's missing a piece. You can't say, look, it would have been done because there's only one piece, and you know it has to go here. That's not going to satisfy you.
Right.
But when you find it and you put that oh, praise Yah. Hallelujah. And that's the feeling we're going to have when we finally become a nation. All the pieces come together. It's going to be hallelujah. So again, that's the opposite of bye.
Even so, it is not the will of your Father which is in heaven that one of these little ones should perish.
Moreover, if your brother trespass against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he shall hear you, you have gained your brother. But if he will not hear you, then take with you one or two more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established. And the reason you do that is if you communicate, sometimes people have an emotional block and can't hear what you have to say. It don't matter what you say because you're going to be wrong, period. Mm-hmm. Now you have 2 other individuals where they are independent of the situation. Mm-hmm. And they're just listening. They might not agree with you, but they might understand what you're saying. Well, I don't necessarily agree with what he's saying, but this is what he's saying. Mm-hmm. This is what's going on. Now it's established because that person can't turn around and tell you, you said F me. No, he never said that. Right. He never said that. I'm a witness and he's a witness. Nah. Your hearing is not on right now. You're emotional. And that's the point for it. Because again, we don't want to cut something off. But if he will not hear, and if he shall neglect to hear them, tell it until the assembly. But if he neglect to hear the assembly, let him be unto you as a heathen man or a publican. Unclean. Look, we know your actions aren't good. We're not really dealing with you right now. But it says, in another place where it says, well, admonish him like a brother. Mm-hmm. Don't just cut him all the way off. Deal with him like a brother. You know, you ain't sometimes you ain't talking to your family right now. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, it's still your family. If something go down, you know your family got your back.
Right.
Be mad as ever until sometimes that's what it take. Y'all be mad as ever, hate each other, and somebody try to mess with your family. Oh, hold on, homeboy. Whoa. Look, I can whoop his behind. You can't. All right. Let's go to the conclusion. Let's go to 1 Peter chapter 5. 1 Kepha chapter 5. At the end of the day, this is like an employee's manual right here. This is an employee's manual. We are employees. We have certain rules and responsibilities that we have to follow. When we don't, we are subject. They always say, if you do this, you're subject to immediate termination. Didn't say you're going to immediately be terminated, because they always leave the right for them to say, no, this guy is a multi-million-dollar earner. Go home today and don't let it happen again. They got the right to do what they want to do. So this is what this is for. Now, I've never been to a job where I read the employee manual. Never went through it, never did it. Looked at a few things where it came to my vacation time and dress code and things that I really cared about, but I never really read it. But this, you need to know it. You need to understand the rules, how to operate, how the mind frame of YAH. Because this is the rules that we're going to be following forever. The rules of righteousness, holiness. Now, it may be more drilled into the righteousness of it, because certain things won't be anymore. But these are the laws of the land. This is the way of life that we're going to have to follow. So we can't treat it like the employee manual at Publix. When I used to work at Publix. Treat it like you being fired is you losing your salvation. Not, well, I'm just going to go look on Indeed, see if I can find a new salvation. So, I'm even willing to take a life cut, but, matter of fact, it's kind of rough out there. Let me go to the salvation unemployment line and, get a little bit of eternal life. Nah. Lake of fire. Learn this stuff. This is important for us to know, because we fumbling around in it. I'd rather fumbling around and know a little something and endure a little bit longer than fumble right around into the grave.
1 Peter in chapter 5. The elders which are among you I exhort, who am also an elder and a witness of the sufferings of Mashiach, and also a partaker of the glory that shall be revealed. Feed the flock of Elohim which is among you, taking the oversight thereof, not by constraint, but willingly, not for filthy lucre, but of a ready mind.
All right, so the elders are supposed to feed the flock of Elohim. Feed Yah's children. Take the oversight thereof. You're supposed to be overlooking, but not by constraint. Not holding them back for stuff, but not holding things back, but willingly. Not for money. But do this because this is your job. This is what you have been. If he allowed you to live into that estate, that's your job. Because you can't buy that. You can't buy eldership. Many rich people have tried.
Neither as being masters over Yahweh's heritage, but being examples to the flock.
And our elder, Ben Melech, he's excellent at giving us the example of number 3. Not being masters over Yah's inheritance, but being an example. To the point where, listen, look, yes, I have the elder, I have the order. I am, would be the higher ranking in the flesh and in the spirit, from works and from all of that. But I am not your master. Yeshua is your master. If the word says this is what we do, it don't matter what I say. That's what we do. And you have the right to say, nah, I'm not doing what you're asking to do. You're telling me this is what the word says, but I read it differently. So what he has to do is be the example. Well, the word means do this. You misunderstanding, because let me show you how it's done.
Verse 4. And when the chief shepherd shall appear, you shall receive a crown of glory that fades not away. Likewise, you younger, submit yourselves unto the elder. Yea, all of you be subject one to another, and be clothed with humility. For Elohim resists the proud and gives grace to the humble.
He resists the proud and gives grace unto the humble. Again, resisting the proud and grace to the humble. We need grace. At our best state, we are still filthy rags. We are saved by grace and mercy, not by this amazing deeds that we've done in our lives, because they don't erase the wrong that we did. The law is what the law is. The wages of sin is death.
Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of Elohim, that he may exalt you in due time.
Again, humble yourself and he'll exalt you. Humbling yourself is saying, look, I know I'm just nothing. The spirit you gave me is something. As long as you give me that spirit, I'm going to do that. What that spirit is good for. Because there's really nothing else about me that's good. You can call that low self-esteem. No, that's reality, because everything is just vanity. Okay, well, I'm really good at singing. That's vanity. If it's not glorifying the Most High, it's just vanity. But it makes me it's just vanity. And who gave you the ability to sing? You did? You just practice all day long, every day until you got good? Nah, you were given a talent. There's people that can't even talk, but you were given a voice. So humble yourselves. See yourself exactly what you are, and he'll exalt you in his time. The due time is his time, not when you think you're ready.
Casting all your care upon him, for he cares for you.
That's how you have peace. Not that I don't care. And that's where, a big issue with me is people think I don't care because my demeanor. And it's not that I don't care. It's just I'm like, listen, I've been here. I done fought this fight before. I done put everything through my hardest punch. It ain't gonna do nothing. Yeah, you got this. Let me focus on my actions. Let me tell you about your actions. Let me focus on my actions and leave it there. So I have free will, you have free will. I put it on Yah. If Yah want to correct that, he gonna correct it. And power of prayer is amazing.
Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walks about seeking whom he may devour.
You ever try to run when you were inebriated or under the influence or something?
No.
Okay, well, here's an even better one. You ever try to walk? You ever try to walk when you're inebriated?
Oh, yeah.
How'd that work out?
Stumbling mess.
Stumbling mess. So, if there's a roaring lion looking to devour you, and you can't even walk straight, do you think you're going to run away from that lion?
Fat chance.
So again, metaphoric. So if you are drunken with iniquity, with pride, with wrath, with anger, with sadness, with lust, with envy, with covetousness, with all these things that's causing you to be unstable and double-minded, you run this way, run that, like a cartoon. That lion finna tear you to shreds. And that's what happens to us. The adversary tear a new one into us. Because we're not sober-minded. We're not vigilant. We're not watching, ready. Just like when you stand at the worst is the sucker punch, because you're not ready. You stand here like this and all of a sudden, boom, you get hit. So how people get knocked out when they're not ready. But when you're ready, is why they say, ready, okay? Go. So you have the best chance to defend yourself, to move out the way, to block, to strike. You're ready. That's being sober-minded. And thinking of yourself properly. Sober-minded is thinking that, look, I am 5'10", 180 pounds. He's 6'6", 270 pounds, I'm probably not going to overpower him. Let me think how I ought to think of myself. I would like to think that I'm 6'6", 270 pounds, but reality is I'm not. So I'm going to have to damage him a different way.
First Peter chapter 5 and verse 9. Whom resist steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world. But the Elohim of all grace, who has called us unto his eternal glory by Mashiach Yeshua, after that you have suffered a while, make you perfect, establish, strengthen, settle you. To him be glory and dominion forever and ever. Amen. By Silvanus, a faithful brother unto you, as I suppose I've written briefly, exhorting and testifying that this is the true grace of Elohim wherein you stand. The assembly that is at Babylon, elected together with you, salutes you, and so does Marcus my son. Greet you one another with a kiss of love. Peace be with you, all that are in Mashiach Yeshua. Amen.
Amen. All right, so that's all we're going to do today. So again, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Best thing that we can do in this walk is remain humble, and remaining humble is just being open to the fact that you could be wrong. Being open to the fact that you have done wrong before. Whatever has been done to you, you've probably done it to somebody else. And if you haven't done that exact same thing, you've done something to somebody else. So it's not for you to judge which one is more than the other. At the end of the day, then say, all these type of sins, are okay. These are the ones that are not. No. So be sober-minded, be vigilant, be honest with yourself. More important, to be honest with Yah. You can't be honest with Yah if you're not honest with yourself. And in doing so, you're going to find yourself grace. And the more grace you receive is the more humble you should be, because you should be like, man, Yah, you are so merciful. Because I have no idea why you still dealing with me, because and I know. And that should keep you humble. But we don't want to do that, because look at society. How many of us just take, a worst picture and put it up? Oh, wow, that's embarrassing. Profile pic. No, we don't do that. We try to get the best angle, we trying to, cross our arm, make that bicep look good. We trying to do everything to give the best picture of ourselves physically. So do we think in our mind we are putting forth the true image of ourselves? If we can't physically just be content with the way we are, or say, you know what, I don't like the way this looks, so I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, or I'm going to go get my hair twisted, do something. Nah. We're not honest. We don't want to be honest with ourselves. It's easier to just be false and be in falsehood, because this is what this whole system is created, a falsehood. To put up a picture of yourself 30 years ago, and that's your, that's your pick. Well, this ain't today's Monday. This ain't Throwback Thursday. It's been Throwback Thursday for 2 years, bro. Come on, man. You got, in this picture, you got dreads down to your back, bro. You bald now, bro. You don't even grow hair in the front of your head. But this is who you are. Even the people in your license made you take another picture. But this is how we try to present ourselves. And that's just metaphoric. That's just the outward. So imagine what the inward is. Be honest with yourself and be content. Be content. Be like, look, this is where I am. I'm content with myself because I'm content in Yah. That if Yah had me at a higher state, I'd be at a higher state. So if I want a higher state, then I need to work towards that. But I'm content because this is who I am. I got to love me for who I am. So that's all we're going to do today. Any last questions or comments before we close with prayer?
That exalted, one thing about that, in verse 5, when it says, humble yourselves therefore under the mighty hand of Elohim, that he may exalt you in due time. Does that necessarily refer to like exalting your position within the assembly?
It means that your position within the body, because guess what? When you are just, I always try to use metaphors of combat. You know, we're training, and I'm right-handed. My power is in my right hand. You know, and I'm gonna try to, you know, knock out with my right hand. But you mess around and you come over here to the left side, my left hand is exalted at this point because it's coming from back here. So it's coming all the way across. And now it's powerful. It's exalted. Its time has come. The situation is tight. You come in this side, I could hook you this way, but you know, I could throw a jab. You know, I might even be able to uppercut, but it's not going to be as powerful as female energy in this sense, which is female energy versus male energy. Male energy is when you pound through something. Female energy is when it comes into you. When you're punching somebody, when they're coming into the punch, they gonna get knocked out because it's way more force. So in thinking that you may be the right tool, your wisdom, your spirit, you're an interpreter. You speak many tongues, and now this man has a miracle. He's ready to speak. Nobody understands. It's your time. It's exalted. You're a wonderful reader, or you can examine the word well, or you know you have great count. This is your time. Humble yourself. It ain't always time for you to go. I can say it in 10 languages. No, we need to figure out what we need to do right now. Well, I can ask the question in Japanese. There's nobody here in Japanese right now, bro. It's not your time. But look, how many people know how to speak another language? See, that I should be the leader because I can speak 10 languages. But we need somebody to do stitches on this guy. Humble yourself. You know what? He's better suited for this job. I could probably stitch it up, but he's probably going to die. This guy went to school. He's a surgeon. Knock yourself out. So it does mean that. It also means, too, when we ascend, Jerusalem's going to be the highest point. And that's where the saints are going to be. In Jerusalem, the highest point. We're going to be exalted above the whole everything. You put a light. You don't put a light down here. Where you put the light? Put the light up top to light up everything. And the Gentiles bring their glory inside. So there's layers and layers and layers and layers. And whatever layer you peel, you're probably right. And there's just more layers. And every time we read, we pull more layers back. All right. Let's go ahead and close in a prayer. All brothers remove their head covers. Let's just pray with their heads covered fully. And we face the east towards Jerusalem, where our temple was and where our temple in Hamashiach shall return. Abba Father, Yahweh, Elohim, the Allah of Abraham, Yashak, and Yaakov. Covenant Father, Elohim of Yahshua, we thank you, Yah, so much. We thank you once again, Yah, for your mercy and for your patience, Yah, and for your chastening that you've given us in our lives, Yah. And we thank you so much for your patience, Yah, because we're fumbling around, Yah. We're in our best, we are still mediocre, Yah. So we're thankful that you have still tarried with the remnant of your people that you've allowed to have this spirit. And we ask that you allow us to capitalize on the good deeds that we've done through you and to spread those and to make that more of the story than our mistakes, Yah. And we ask that you always provide a person, a place, or a thing to keep us humble, Yah. Humble to the point where we can be exalted in your due time, Yah. Allow us to have the wisdom to know when to pull back and the wisdom to know when to push forward, Yah, according to you, to your will, Yah, to give you the glory, not for our own self, to make our own selves look good or to make any other individual look bad, Yah. We ask you for the wisdom in that and the understanding and the discipline to act on that information when the Holy Spirit does show up in our lives, Yah. Yah, we ask you humbly to please, we beg you, Yah, forgive us of our sins and trespasses, Yah. Wipe a slate clean, Yah. Give us a new heart. Purge us with hyssop, Yah. For that's the only way we could be made clean, Yah. It's only through you, your word, Savior word of Yah. Yah, these things we thank and pray, Yah, not for only us, not even only for our nation, but all your people across the earth and all those that are going to be grafted in, Yah, according to your word, Yah. We ask for them as well through your holy, humble anointed Son, Yahshua HaMashiach. in which all praise, majesty, might, and dominion resides here and forevermore. Through you, your majesty, through Yahshua HaMashiach, the Savior word of Yah, we pray. Amen.